It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio. Hear them radio waves aglow. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio.
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
We are here with the Bathhouse Admiral, Brian Cochran, and Calvin Stover is our co-host today. I will be Chriso, and we're going to talk about how we met. We're going to talk about the Sonship. We're going to talk about free coffee and all sorts of other goodies. So yeah, Brian, kick us off, man. So you're, what's your deal?
My deal is that, I have a job to do, and I wake up each day and I attempt to do the very best I can. Meanwhile, I get a little distracted and on to smoking marijuana and stuff, but the atmosphere around here, I just love it because I can really focus on what my work is, what the work is. Yeah, I have a job, and I take it very seriously.
What is that? What's the work?
The work is to build and promote a ship, and the other work is to be in community with others. Like you'll find if you live anywhere near me, I'm going to want to be interested in what you're doing and what we can do together and just help one another. This is Crestone, Moffat region is really inspiring for catching some spiritual growth while working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
The work, yeah.
Yeah, and like just having unique, community. I feel like with Schneblyville, it's like we're wanting to build this like soul-based kind of culture or community out here. And, we met in a unique way. Like we met, on that April 2024 full solar eclipse. And, I just got coordinates. We haven't talked about this yet on here. Like I just received coordinates from Parker G, and I put those coordinates in, my Google Maps app. And I go out to this like land, out in Moffat / Schneblyville, and you guys like are just partying with like this like pirate ship, Burning Man art installation, DJ music. There was like nothing out there at that point, and it's gotten more developed like since then. I remember you had a hard hat on the first time I met you. Bo was dressed like a pirate, or a captain or something. And yeah, and then you didn't have the Sonship like right out there at that point, but then pretty quickly like I got introduced to the Sonship, and maybe you want to talk more about just the Sonship and like what's going on, what that is and what your vision is.
Okay, the Sonship came about because when I was a youngster, about 9 or 11, my brother was a young teenager, and I wanted to do what he does. And what was he doing? Hanging around the park and smoking weed. So I got started smoking the cannabis at a very young age. And I went on to continue, even at a minute level, like 1 gram would satisfy my addiction for a week. 1 gram. I could stretch 3 joints out. But then I noticed I was a closet smoker at this point because my wife at that time, she was like, no, we're raising kids. Don't be high or else.
So you hid it from her.
I hid it. I was a closet smoker.
But she still found out.
Yeah, because one day I was on the side of the house and I was coughing out some smoke, and my child, the youngest kid, was about 9, and he went to his friend Trevor and was talking, and Trevor's mom overheard it, and she went to my wife and said, your husband's been smoking marijuana. And she came and had a talk with me, marijuana, cannabis. And so she said, Brian, you're going to quit or it's over. So I went to Kaiser Mental Health in Oakland, Pleasanton, Walnut Creek is what it was. And I was there 3 days a week, and I was learning a lot about the brain. And if people want to talk about cannabis is not addictive, I'm going to tell you it is. I was addicted, and I wanted to try life with no mind-altering substances. And Kaiser brought me a long way, but I would be completely honest, because you need to if you're going to grow and heal. And I said, yeah, well, I was leaving Germany, and my wife's dad, Manfred, he put the champagne out there, and I drank one. And I get back to I'm telling my mental health group I had some champagne, and they go, okay, no, this is 100% no mind-altering substances while you're practicing this stuff. And I said, okay. Well, some months went by, and my neighbor died, and I was across the street, and the ice chest went open, and a beer landed in my hand, and I drank beer.
It's a miracle. Yeah. You're meant to drink that beer.
So I drank the beer, and I told the group, and they said, you got to go to AA. I'm like, what the fuck? I got to go to AA. I'm a pothead. No, you need to go to AA. And this is where my spiritual spark was lit, because I'm practicing sobriety with alcoholics, and that is the most dangerous drug, the one you can get at the store all over the place. And so I went to AA, and I started by making coffee and getting a sponsor and doing the steps, and lo and behold, it worked for a while, but then I moved away from it, and I wound up in Mariposa on the east side of California over by Yosemite, and an incident happened where I was smoking weed. Because when you get away from the meetings and the support there, well, this is pretty common. You'll go back to your substance. And I was sitting up there at the job I was working on, and I said, no, I don't want to be high. So then I joined the Mariposa AA group, where I got a lot more involved. I became a secretary, went to conferences, and really took on the program of AA, like being a sponsor, and the love and compassion in those rooms. I met a man with 64 years of sobriety, Tom, in Mariposa. He lost his chip at the grocery store, and we know whose chip this is. It's like, how many people in this state have 64 years of sobriety? So I was just surrounded by some real cool people, but I'm going to tell you, there's some danger in there too.
Yeah.
So it would go good girlfriend, bad girlfriend. Really don't want to go to AA looking for a girlfriend, but it could happen. Happened to me a couple times. Mm-hmm.
Well, it could become a new addiction, right? Like people get high on sobriety and like just counting the days. That's a whole like dry drunk thing of like, the addiction just morphs itself into like, a different form, which is maybe healthier because like, alcohol is very dangerous, but it's also very awesome.
It's really awesome.
There's always two sides to it. Like people use it because it's fun, or it kind of is a release in a certain kind of way. And we do live in Area 420. This is where we're at right now. I was just on a morning stroll, today, and I ended up getting a free bouquet, of weed, because I ran into Mike Miller. And so it's very available out here.
Very.
And you had like many years of use, and then you took how many years off?
I had 12 years off.
12 years off. And then talk about like why you went back on, or what that was like.
But what I want to say about sobriety is that, I had a dual addiction. I'd smoke, and then I'd ride my bicycle.
Yeah. Okay. So we both grew up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You were a little bit ahead of me. And you were like one of the first people into this, like doing wheelies, like downhill biking, like long distance wheelies, right?
Yeah. And high speed wheelies, downhill wheelies.
Yeah.
One hand, no hands, no front wheel, every kind of wheelie. And I took that bicycle to San Francisco every day. I threw it in my truck. I'd ride out to the job. And so I had my, I had a dual addiction. So I'd go find the messengers, bicycle messengers at the park, and smoke some weed after work, and then rage through the town. And I was about a year or 3 or 5 into sobriety, and I was noticing my behavior on the bicycle, like riding on freeways, through tunnels, across bridges. And I thought, what the fuck's going on? And I put the bicycle down and I got into yoga.
Wow.
Which is another spiritual path.
Sure.
And it was hot yoga. Like 90 minutes of women sweating in their lingerie laying next to me. So I was a little distracted for the first year or 2, but then I got into the practice and I got in some amazing condition.
I mean, like, in a sense, you were addicted to adrenaline, right? Because you were like, you were having so much fun, like getting high and riding your bike. Like, you were telling me you were like going to these different job sites and you would just do wheelies off of like 8 stairs or 10 stairs and stuff. And like, it's more of just like, they just paired so well together for your adrenaline kind of, you know, scratching that itch. And then I guess you moved on to hot yoga to kind of scratch that itch.
Yes. And hot yoga was amazing, but I had no idea that there was a friendly yoga, because that's a tough, breathe, you get stretch your brain, pull it, get your core. And they were really pushing hard. And when I moved away from hot yoga, I found friendly yoga, chair yoga. By then I was having some physical difficulties. And I found a loving kind of yoga, and that helped. But I think, well, the yoga, sensei yoga owner of the spot there in Walnut Creek, I told her I got this notice to vacate from this clean and sober house I was living in. And I told Virginia that, and she said, come live in the unit downstairs below my house. And that's where the Sonship started.
Is that where you built it?
That's where I got started building it.
Wow.
And I asked my brother for help. I want a solar-powered blender. And when a person has an idea and someone else joins, it magnifies. So my idea was a solar-powered blender. Well, now I have... Richard, my brother, he charges his car, his motorcycle. It'll power the bin.
So it's a mobile kitchen that's solar powered.
Yeah.
You can cook tons of different kinds of food there, and then you can just take it to different parties, different events. It's open to being rented. You have this like vision of like a whole fleet of these things, right?
That's right. That's why my hobby, in order for me to put the hammer down and stop working, I discovered that I'm interested, like I was when I was a kid. I would take off on the bicycle and go as far as I could figure out, as far from home as I could, and still get back. And I still do that in my life today. I get in the van and I pick national parks to visit. There's 63. I started the count at age 60. I'm at 43 now.
Wow.
I've been all over this country, and it's a beautiful country.
What lights you up about just being on the road? You just like seeing new places, like just getting out of the, you know, regular routine of your, wherever you're living?
Yeah, I just got back a couple days ago. I took off for South Dakota, North Dakota, because there's a couple parks to visit, and I did that. And it was great. I'm pretty, very versed at it. I know I had 5 nights of wandering, and each place that I spent the night at was safe and quiet and dark and no one around. It's beautiful, this country. You got national forest all over the place. But this trip, I noticed it's national grasslands. So there was a lot of prairie. Not many trees to be found.
Yeah.
So then but how the ship came about in Oakland there, in the driveway, beautiful neighborhood in Oakland with the view of the bay. Every day I'd stop and watch the sun go down for like a year and a half. I watch the sun go down. And that was really, so sobriety gave me a chance to be at work on something besides just my short vision of I want to, a car like this or a bike like that, and all these wanting, and I began to remember everyone's names and get out of myself and into what would my participation be in this community that I'm continually moving around from. And it was the Sonship that gave me something to work on, that was something outside of myself, that I was having a personal relationship with a higher power. And so I will say that I did not build that ship, nor did my brother. Yeah, he's amazing. And from that time on, the ship has been right with me wherever I go. When we met out there at the park, it wasn't here yet. It was still in Arizona.
I remember that. Yeah, you had to go pick it up on a mission.
Yeah, I had to go get it. And brought it up here. And the ship, now this is interesting, I'm beginning to see. One day, was a wonderful barista woman at the local coffee shop here named Willow. And she's very, what is it when people can read minds?
Psychic.
She's a bit psychic, like Brian. One time I said, well, I was at home and I was moving some rocks around, and Willow says, no, you weren't moving those rocks. They wanted to move over to that windowsill. And it got me thinking. I said, oh, these rocks and stones, rocks is an understatement. They're stones and minerals and, so I got all these rocks that have been piling up on the altar, and the crystals, and they have power. And now slowly over time I'm learning that they have power, and so does the ship. The ship brought me to this area because it saw something that it needed here. And a couple of big things that have happened since I've been here for the ship is that I met Avery Runner, and he and I designed and built sails so that this ship actually has some walls. When the top goes up, there was no walls. And sails aren't walls, but they do help keep the rain off the deck and the sun off the people. And it's so colorful and custom fit is just beautiful. And the other thing that the ship, I wanted to put the logo of the ship on the back in a tasteful way. And I met Naomi up at the Tiny Art Gallery, and I gave her a sticker that showed the logo of the ship, and she made the logo, and I just love it because it slides in and out of the frame, and it's beautiful.
And on the other side of that, it says free coffee. And this was like an idea of what you like offer free coffee in order to get people to come and talk or hang out, or what was it?
Yeah, free coffee. When I was early into my sobriety, I was visiting my daughter in San Diego, and she went to work. So I used her bicycle to explore. And I saw on the second story on the balcony, it said free coffee. I went in there. I found out I didn't have a cup. I'm looking at the pot. And I go back down to the courtyard and I watch people run up there, pour their coffee, take off. I go, ooh, this is interesting. And the guy came out and said, well, I just have Folgers today, but when I get paid on Friday, we're going to have Pete's coffee. And I said, man, I'm gonna try this free coffee. So I set it up on my bicycle and I took it to Justin Herman Plaza, San Francisco. Thousands of people coming off the ferry and out of the train, marching to their jobs. And I got this free coffee. I could not give away a cup. So I started making some boiling water, and the economically challenged group would come have some oatmeal. And it was a wonderful career as a carpenter, because when I was between jobs, I had other hobbies to do, like experiment with free coffee. I tried it in my driveway in Lafayette, and people would slow down and look. So while talking to this man who obviously had free coffee, he said, Brian, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time to build a base of people to participate in free coffee, because people, they don't typically want anything free because there's some kind of catch or something.
Yeah. People are suspicious of free because they're like, well, what comes with this? What's tied into this? Like, what do you want from me? Like, yeah. And I mean, I want to go back a little bit to, like, you were saying that the Sonship helped you, kind of get out of your own selfish tendencies in a way where it was just all about pleasure. You're like your own pleasure, kind of more of a purpose thing. You are a boomer. And so you are a part of like what they call the me generation. The boomers were like the first generation to like really be like all about like their own. And I have my own kind of grudge with the boomers. Like, I feel like there has been this overreach, there's been this greed, there's been this like just extraction of resources at like a whole nother level that we've never seen before from the boomer generation. And, a lot of other generations are, I think, suffering, from this overreach. But yeah, I'm curious, like, your experience of a boomer as a boomer, or being, other boomers, you see it. So like, what are you seeing?
Well, okay, so I call myself an in-betweener, because when I was a kid growing up, we had a telephone on the wall. If you wanted to know what was happening, you needed to be at the park so you could find out where the party was, or we'd party at the park. Party. And, so I call myself an in-betweener because my dad was very well programmed to go to work, have a family, and when he was old, I visited him when he was 90, and I'm like, Dad, could you give me the inside scoop? What's going on? What did he learn? What can I look forward to? And he looked at me like I was speaking some other language. Like, what are you talking about, son? And I was like, oh, shit, he can't help me. But certain places that, okay, I grew up in Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco. It's pretty far out. My mom would take us to all the fun museums, and she collected native artwork and on and on. So she had the big influence on me at the art side. And I call myself an in-betweener because while I've lived in places like Sedona and now Crestone, I meet young folks who are not in between. They're actually developed beings that are the leading group that are taking us beyond that programming that my dad had, that I was subjected to and still am. But I have a understanding of it, so therefore I can recognize it when it's influencing me in a bad way. And I like that. So I'm encouraged to drop the old programming and stop being an in-betweener and make the jump over the fence to a spiritual being. And I see that around here, and I'm very encouraged by it.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like your dad was kind of like very committed to the herd and living in the herd like most people are. And it can be scary to like abandon the herd, to leave the herd, to go kind of your own way and do your own thing. So that's why a lot of people don't do it. Like they're terrified of being like ostracized, you know, from the group. I mean, it's like very biological and primal and primitive, where people feel like if they go their own way, like they're literally not going to survive. Like it's not a conscious fear, but there is like an unconscious fear usually that like, I'm not going to survive if I just go my own way and do what I feel like, in this really, you know, committed, stubborn, like positively stubborn kind of way. And like you're saying, it's like, yeah, there are a lot of people who are living out here who they have been kind of outcasts from mainstream society, and that's why they kind of find themselves drawn here. And they are doing their own thing and going their own way. And it's like, yeah, we still have to deal with certain old systems that are still dying out. But yeah, it's also like so many beings out here are just like firmly rooted in like the new energy, the new way of being, like however you want to, you know, spin doctor it. And some of these kids too, man, like these kids just come in with just blazing, you know, like I don't know what dimension they're coming from, but it's a whole new game. Like it's they're not playing the old personality games, you know, of capitalism and whatnot. They are actually like, yeah, already in this. You could call it maybe like there's a bartering aspect to it, or there's just like, yeah, I don't know what you would say.
Well, I think that the bartering action, I would use the term often, equitable exchange, because this monetary system that we're in is crashing, and we're going to need I mean, there's digital Bitcoin and these things, but I'm not doing it. And what I'm most interested in is people doing a fair and equitable exchange. Like if somebody wants the ship to take to their job and they tell me they're going to give me some footage, some drone footage of this ship at work, and then I don't get that drone footage, I'm like pissed off. It's like, hey, we had an agreement here.
Right. You thought you had an agreement.
I thought I had an agreement. And so I've been a pretty generous person all the while, but lately, and I'll continue to be generous, but I really am being a little bit more careful about, well, I've just made investments in art projects that didn't come about, and these things, and it gets to the point where I'm like, shit, I'm just giving money away and burning it in a barrel. I might as well just burn it in a barrel. But in the time I've been here, because I have a shaky left hand and my right side doesn't work very well, and I'm still building stuff, I need help. And I draft people who are nearest to me in the bins. And it's just been really fun, because I'm like, okay, this guy isn't a mechanic. I wonder how he'll do in the kitchen. Here, chop these onions and these potatoes. And the guy is spinning the knife, and I go, okay, that's great. Can you chop the onion? And later we go to a party, and I see, oh, he's a dancer. He's not a mechanic. He's not a cook. He's a dancer. Okay, good. And where's my next help? And the past several months, I've had a guy helping me, and man, we work together well, and we get some stuff done. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this mutually beneficial exchange, you know, ties into like this notion of integrity.
Yeah.
Where it's like you want to be working with people who are like actually doing what they say they're going to do. And there's a lot of people out here who they overpromise and they underdeliver. And like what we really want is the opposite of that, where you're underpromising and you're overdelivering. And yeah, you're showing that you're good for your word. And if you're not good for your word, you're renegotiating as soon as you know. Like you're calling the person, you're being like, hey, actually, I can't make it at that time. Like, can we reschedule? Like those kind of things. Because we have people out here too who just like have habits of ghosting people, you know, just avoidance, ghosting. And it's like, that's not how you build a soul culture community. Like that's just like, yeah, you don't want to actually like, live with those kind of people in community, because that's not sustainable for being in a relationship with somebody.
Well, I talked about the two things that the ship that was brought to the ship here. One, the sails, and the second one, the logo. But there's a third one. There's a woman named Debbie, and she's a graphic artist, and she helped me make a brochure that would explain what the ship is and what's available to it. And with that, Nick Navarez, he said, Brian, I want to rent the ship for 10 days. And I go, okay, great, or 7 days or something. And he said, but I need a spreadsheet. And I go, oh shit, okay. so Deb helped me make a menu spreadsheet, what it costs just to rent the ship. Do you want it for power? Do you want it for a kitchen? And these things, and then the ship got its first paying job. In 12 years that it's been going, its events have all been because I'm throwing a party. And I'm like, man, I'd like to see this ship support itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ship got its first job. Is okay, Brian. How about the Crestone Energy Fair?
That's what. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so it was up there, and the ship. This is where I say it has some kind of direction of its own. Like it wanted to come to Moffett. It said, "Okay, I'll take a job, Crestone." And then it was like, well, I'm not sure I like the scene here. So it's going to rain for 2 days. Somebody's going to plug something in and run the batteries down to nothing. And the ship was like, yeah, well, I'll just be a backdrop for awesome lady. Her name is Eden. And her and Tony fed like 30 volunteers 2 or 3 times a day. And the ship was just barely had its toe in it. Like I could keep the refrigerator cold and the hot water heater went down. It just didn't want to participate in it. I learned. So through a process of elimination, I'm seeing there that I took it awful personal. And I don't think Eden or anyone there had, well, of course they did not have any harm in mind, but when I got there to pick it up, there was rotten fruit in the refrigerator and broken glass and cigarette butts. Like, oh man, was I mad. So I wrote Eden an apology.
Because you, what?
I was shouting at her. She said, I think it's gender-based. I don't care if you were a 7-foot-tall green alien. Yeah, and so I got to clean up. I had the cleaning deposit. They had to pay that because it wasn't ready to bring home, and it wouldn't take much to clean it. Because I'm going to clean it again the way I want it clean when I get home. But I just got my feelings hurt, and I learned that there are many parts about this ship that I do not fit in. I am a builder and an explorer, and I would like to see more of these ships, and perhaps that's where I go next, because I don't have the social skill, nor do I desire to be I just want to look to my captain wherever he is and say, hey, something is not good here. Will you please deal with it? Because I'm not very good at dealing with in the Carpenters Union, I had a business agent. You know, if somebody didn't pay my parking, I could go to my business agent. I didn't have to take it personally, but I take some things very personally, the ship.
Yeah, well, I think the name of the ship is interesting because you call it the Sonship, and it's S-O-N, sun, but also it sounds like, S-U-N, sun, too, and the logo image is like the S-U-N, sun. And, it's called Sonship. And right now, I don't know how much you guys are tapped into this, but there's this like three-eye atlas phenomenon, which is starting to like enter mass consciousness, where there's actually like this interstellar object, this interstellar ship that's on its way, like to be really close to the sun. And it's going to be really close to the sun. I think the closest it's going to be to the sun is going to be October 30th.
It's behind the sun now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like probably the closest to the sun. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's like behind the sun. There's some theories that it's like somehow getting energy from the sun, or that it might be like actually warping like dimensional fields and somehow using like the energy of the sun to like warp these dimensional fields. And then it's going to come really close to Earth. And I heard the closest it's going to be to Earth is like December 19th or something. But all of this remains to be seen. And it's just like a really interesting, for me, it's like there's this sense of just wonderment, like absolute wonderment of like, what is this thing? Like, is it possible that we do live in this like hyper multi-dimensional sort of infinity where you can have like these ships that are just like from other dimensions, like showing up to like hopefully support us in some way? I mean, if they're hostile, I guess that's gonna have to be cool too. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the government is gonna spin this as being like a threat to everybody and like a grab for more control, or if it's totally out of the government's hands and we're just all gonna have to like be faced with like some new energy or some new kind of like culture emerging and blossoming.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. I heard that it could have been like an alien craft, and I thought that was cool, and like kind of wish for that. I don't know if it is that. I did hear that they brought it through AI, like there was a message coming through it and they put it through AI, and that it said like Earthlings don't worry or whatever. Like, but that could just be an internet thing, and I don't know much about other than what popped up on the internet,
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we came to party, like it's all good. Yeah.
You were asking about the SON ship, and I was reading a book by Michael Murdad. I first got turned on to him because he had a book called You're Not Going Crazy, You're Just Waking Up. And I feel that's like what this world is doing right now, is waking up and breaking away from the programming. And when I was reading a second book Michael wrote called The Heart of A Course in Miracles, which for me to take the Course in Miracles, it would take a year. Michael wrote a book called The Heart of A Course in Miracles. I go, yeah, that'll do. And
just give me the pocket Course in Miracles.
And in there was the word sonship, S-O-N, that you're a sonship, I'm a sonship, she's a sonship, whoever she is, and we have feminine and masculine qualities, and the feminine sonship, wow, they are the earth grounding telepathy, and it scares me some because sometimes I see these starseed children. One would put her work down and got in line over there at the cloud. And when I looked in the eye, it's startling at first because now I know there's these higher realms of beings, and it's frightening to me. And I'm starting to get over it, but it's just so out of my programming to accept that people are a lot more than just the job, the car, the house, the kids, and the list goes on. And so that's what's so exciting about today, is that people are waking up. Yep. You can see it on your news feed every day. Oh, these things are in your kitchen. They'll heal you. And pharmaceuticals in big trouble right now. And so are all sorts of facets. So it's a real exciting time. And I can't help but think that the Sonship has a plan, and I just do my best to bring it to the next, whatever its next journey is. I've been given notice to vacate now, so I'll be out of the bin on November 21st. And because I have some awesome friends around here, a guy in Alamosa that I'm really, Cosmic Kyle, he said, come down here to the Starship Inn. I'll have a room for you. So I won't be home much because it's cold in Colorado. I'm going to go winter in California. But I know that the ship and the tugboat are safe in the backyard at Kyle's, and I have my clothes stacked up there, and 10 days a month I'll be visiting Kyle, but mostly I'm going to be doing stuff in California because they have 5 national parks, and I'm going to revisit them all because the count for the national parks, if I was at that park in a previous 0 to 30 or 30 to 60, those don't count. I started the count at age 60. I'm at 43 parks now, and I'm going to revisit California, my birthplace, and visit all those parks. Redwood, and in the north, Redwood Park, and in the south, Joshua Tree, and visit these parks and see what's going on, because that's what I do. Mm-hmm.
Are you going to Sequoia National Forest?
Yes, I'll pick up Sequoia for sure. I might not pick up Yosemite because, I will, because I'm going to stay at this awesome ranch that my friend Maybow has, and I'll rent there for a few weeks. That's where my original group of AA, so I'll see those folks again. And yep. But this being an in-betweener, I have a friend, Andy, who we go way back to our park days and our teenagers and the bicycles, and he came clear out here to visit me and help me put the ship in its parking spot at the Crestone Fair. And constantly throughout my life, there's these people who show up at just the right time to put some input on the ship. And Andy, I'm very pleased because his dad also was very programmed to work, retired kids, the norm. What norm? What is norm? No, so, but he at least will.
Norm is just a guy at the bar.
Yeah. Normal is a setting on your washing machine. No, so, but that Andy would come out here from California and hang out for a few days, and
Well, I mean, I've never been afraid of like losing friends because, friendship is frequency, and you're always going to find new friends. Like if you lose friends, it's like not a big deal because you're going to find new people that vibe with you, with where you're at now. And so I think there's some people that it's really hard for them because they have all these emotional attachments to people, places, and things. And so they can't imagine like severing those or who they would be if they severed those. But to step into that is like actually really liberating because it's like, oh yeah, like I'm not actually having this codependent relationship with, what's appearing. Yeah.
And with that, I lose some, family members that I think it's possible that because I have a tremendous amount of freedom in my life because I was a good slave child for 30-something years in the Union, and now they pay me for the rest of my life. And God, that makes it nice. So I have a little bit of money, just enough. Yeah, but the thing about freedom is some people go, oh, they just feel threatened by it. It's like, how dare you break away from this programming? And
well, that's the question too, is like, how free do you want to be? And that's, I think a lot of these religious traditions and any kind of like, yoga or spiritual practices, like they should be asking their clientele or their students or whatever you want to call them, like, how free do you want to be? Because you don't need to be participating in any practices or any sort of institutionalization if you don't want to. You can just like really go rogue and just see, where the cards or the cookies crumble or whatever.
There are many ways. And the important thing is to strive and find a way, some kind of way that resonates and works. And I would go to the Christian services up here in Villa Grove. What an awesome group. And they eat every Sunday afterward, and they pray for each other and support each other. So Christianity has... the thing I really go against is when someone says all and everyone. It's too general. I mean, there are people in the Christian faith that are getting the enlightenment and the teaching and the grace and the saving and then what's fortunate, I feel, is that I get to see all kinds of faiths and participate in what level works for me.
Well, one of the beautiful things about Christianity is like the love your neighbor thing, right? Where it's like, love your neighbor as yourself, right? Like, we have a lot of meals together and like we kind of help each other out in a mutually beneficial way where it feels like fair to both of us, and we have like, as good of communication as we can. And I think a lot of people, like, they still believe in this whole separation, idea where they really think that, there is like a difference, between themselves and like this quote unquote other. But it's like, maybe there isn't, like, maybe it's like, it's all a mirror, like a hall of mirrors, a world of mirrors, so to speak. And maybe even like with this Dzogchen stuff, it's like, isn't there a Buddhist chant that's like, Gate, Gate, Parasam Gate, Bodhi Swaha, which is like, gone beyond, gone completely beyond.
Yeah, the Heart Sutra.
Yeah, the Heart Sutra. And so like, maybe this quote unquote enlightenment, and I'm not saying there is such a thing as enlightenment, but, maybe it is this, let's call it appreciation of a causality, that there is no causality, that there is no like thing that you can do to quote unquote achieve enlightenment. And when you say that there's like many paths or whatever, well, maybe this is actually one thing that is happening in one way. Like let's call this one thing dark light, and not dark as in evil, but dark as in like you can't pin it down. You can't stabilize it, you can't really make it into something that makes sense. And the way in which it's happening is exactly this infinite patterning that's appearing, as it seems to be. It's morphing constantly, this dark light. And this is what it looks like right now. This is what infinity looks like right now.
Well, I mean, so what I'm learning about enlightenment through Dzogchen is it's like, it's really difficult to recognize the nature of mind. Is like, we all have eyelashes, but we can't see our own eyelashes. So it's like we're doing it all the time. Everybody's doing it, and everyone's enlightened and a Buddha on one level. But people just don't recognize it.
Because they're not being sensitive enough. Like the mind, what we could say the mind does is it does this like simplification or kind of like averaging kind of thing where it just like, okay, like I'm just going to say like it's like this and that's going to be good enough. I'm going to buy into that. But if you actually have like a sensitivity to dark light, then it's like, well, what do you really have to believe in? Like, what do you really have to claim? Maybe at that point, when you're really sensitive to the dark light, you don't have anything to claim. You don't have anything to possess, you know, not even when it comes to like, I know you wanted to talk about like, what are we in control of? Maybe you're not in control of anything. Yeah.
Well, that thing where you said our brain is trying to do this thing and another thing. And really what I'm most interested in is putting my brain in a category, if I can, like of 5%. Not 95%, but 5%. And that the other 95% is the real stuff. How are you feeling? What is the feeling here? And work on what the feeling is and how the feeling works and what the feeling is going to bring. And so I'm a beginner at it, but I'm really excited about it, is to shut my brain down. Use it for tying my shoes or, you know, picking a route to get to wherever I need to go, and just minimize the brain thing and feel something.
Yeah, feel like this is whatever this is, it's felt. And so just like there's no limit to how sensitively it can be felt. And I think a lot of people, they just don't give themselves I'm not saying there is time and space, but they don't give themselves the time and space to really just feel this in a sensitive way. They want constant, and again, I'm not saying there is such a thing as a distraction, but they want constant distraction because they want to perpetuate they want to indulge in the imagination of themselves indefinitely. And in a sense, they're terrified of a confrontation with the absence of themselves. But actually, like, you want to be taking refuge in the absence of yourself. Like, you want to be taking refuge in discontinuity. Like, every night, literally every night when we go to bed, we disappear, we die. And so, like, why not just like, appreciate, you know, that, you don't exist, you know, in any kind of way that you imagine you do. You know, I'm not saying you don't exist, but it's just like anything you can think that you are, or you can believe that you are, it's not stable enough to actually be that way.
I would like to interject. So like the heart has neurons in it that are like the neurons in the brain. And I read a book a long time ago, and the guy talked about moving from the brain into the heart. And he would talk like the heart's dreaming all the time. And so there is this strong connection with the heart when it comes to like that neural activity. And through Dzogchen, the mind's located in the heart. Like with the mind not meaning like the mental or the brain, it's just like the soul. And but then there's also the connection with the neurons in the gut and all this connection in the body. And
the red, yellow, blue, green, purple, you see it in the rainbows, the crystals in the window reflected on the wall and the floor. And our chakras go something like that: red, yellow, blue, green. And when it gets up around the heart, often generations of people don't seem to go much further than the red and yellow there, which is a good one. That's where, but
even in the tailbone, there's like the muscle in the tailbone, and it has like dopamine receptors, like neurons, and they remove that muscle with the neurons or the receptors, and people get like restless leg syndrome. And so that would be like the root chakra.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dzogchen has a lot of like rainbow body imagery, right? Where it's like, this is the rainbow body. You know, like a rainbow is like there and it's not there at the same time. Like it looks like it's there, but then if you go to try to find it, like you can't find anything. Like it's not there. And there's a lot of imagery too in Dzogchen where it's like that rainbow kind of seems to have this like center in the heart, because like the heart seems to be the center of this like energy system, the centerless center, you know, of this energy system. And a lot of people, like, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, they seem to be subhuman in the sense that they haven't really raised their center of gravity like to the heart space. They're still like focused on getting as much pleasure as they can or as much power as they can. And they haven't actually, opened up that kind of centerless center of their being, the rainbow body.
I love this talk along spirituality, and I look forward to the when Calvin is up here being interviewed, because I'm sure we're going to cover this.
Oh, yeah, let's not get off track.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
We're doing great. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious too, like, you've told me before that like you've experienced a lot of like rock bottoms, and like you think you reach rock bottom and then it turns out rock bottom has like basement levels, like multiple basement levels to it. So yeah, talk about that.
Okay, rock bottom. It would be talked about in the rooms of AA a lot. Like, what brought you here to want to experience life with no mind-altering substances? Well, I mean, my second wife and the mother of our fourth child, I had 3 with the first, 1 with the second, and when I learned I could quit smoking, and then it occurred to me I could quit Andrea also. So I left her. I had kids so young, I didn't have a chance to finish being a kid. And Source is so deliberate and confident that I'm going to get somewhere. It just continues to put the work in front of me to do. And I wanted to be a kid and travel the country. And when the kids were grown and Andrea was outgrowing me, or was I outgrowing her, I don't know, but we had a very amicable breakup, dissolution, and I love it because I can call her today and she'll give me an update on the grandkids, because she's over there watching them while the kids go to work. And so I've been taking on this thing about being a kid. And that's what leads me back to exploring parks, because that's what I did when I was a kid. That's what I like to do. And out here, there is a park. It's called Sacred Lost Valley Park. And I really poured myself into building furniture for events there, and get really excited about the park.
So, yeah, I mean, like the Sonship, like another word for the sun is soul, right? Like SOL.
And that was the name previous to Sonship. It was SOL ship.
Right. Shit out of luck ship.
And it was also a good name.
Yeah. But like, when we talk about like
Soul purpose, that's what it was.
Sure. And when we talk about like, rock bottom having a basement and, multiple levels of basements, it's like we could talk about that as being this like black hole that you kind of go into. And the soul, like the sun, the soul, like we have soul as an SOL, and then we have soul as an SOUL. And, it's like we all have this radiant SOUL soul aspect, which maybe it does kind of go into this black, like black holes eat stars. And, maybe we also have a black hole aspect. And you were saying that like this, rock bottom could kind of be tied to like you fall into a black hole. Like Ram Dass once said, like we're all just like walking each other home, but maybe we're all just walking each other into a black hole. And who knows what that might mean or not.
Yeah, that the consciousness. Now, when I was a young, rambunctious growing up, I did not believe at all that there'd be another life after this life. And now I'm seeing that consciousness, when the body drops off, I think it's going to continue. that it lives on.
Well, I love that too about you, is that you've said like you feel like you have 3 different lives, or how do you break them up again? Like you're on your 3rd life right now?
I am. It's 0 to 30. Wow. Amazing. Awesome time. 30 to 60. Just fantastic. And now 60 to 90. And I'm in so I'm a 4-year-old. Yeah.
You're a 4-year-old in your 3rd life.
Yeah, my 3rd lifetime. So,
and I love too that like you're doing things that you did that lit you up when you were a kid, because a lot of times it's like the things that we did when we were a kid, that's just what we love to do. And so we start doing that again, when we're older, because that's just our nature. That's what we're naturally drawn to living.
You're in your 2nd Saturn return.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how old are you for your second, like?
Your first one's when you're 28.
28. What's your second one?
When you're like 65.
64, 65. Interesting.
So I'm just coming into my 3rd Saturn, I thought, because I thought I did a complete one, 1 to 28 or 0 to 28, and then.
Would we just add 28 and keep adding 28?
Yeah, but I round it to 30 because it's easier to count.
Saturn takes like 28 and a half years to go around the sun. So from your birthday to like 28 and a half, it's made its full cycle around the sun.
Right.
And that the planets, and there's a park in a place called Penrose, and it's called a guy, David, it's called Space Weather News. Ben Davis, he built a park called Observer Ranch.
Is that here?
It's out toward Pueblo. It's on the way to Pueblo.
I like that guy. I took his master classes.
Oh, yeah. And I met him out there and listened to a lecture, and then some other scientists that my brother came out that he follows. And I began to get interested in the stars and that. And I know when I started more of a full-time van life that I just really liked being out under the stars, that when I'd go home, I'd only last 3 to 5 weeks before I'd have to go back outside and live under the stars.
And you some of the stuff you're putting on your vision board, right? Like I've seen your vision board, and I was inspired to make my own vision board. And I'm a little bit like proud that I have the tiniest vision board, that I've ever seen. But like, what for you are vision boards? Like what's,
yeah. That and I'm really pleased to see you pick up the vision board, because I'm in my 3rd or 4th year, probably 4th year of this vision board work. And the way it works best, as far as I understand, is I put the ideas in there that are speaking to me. And then if it's in line with Source's idea, man, I start crossing them off. And when they're not in line, they never happen, and something changes and others. So I have a 2-sided vision board. One side is specific for the Sonship, and one side is specific for Brian. Like feminine companion, I put stuff on there like cooking, gardening, and some normal stuff. And then I met a person who I was pretty interested in. I thought she had some fun about her, but she had no cooking, no cleaning, no, just those are normal. So I scratched them all out, and I put in place of them storyteller, sober-minded, intuitive inventor, and things that are not just part of everyday life. Yeah.
I mean, storytelling, that's kind of all we got, right? Is like,
yes,
we're just telling stories, and it's almost like that whole like writing on water or something, where as we're telling the stories, they're disappearing simultaneously.
or the never-ending story as we it becomes true.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's like whatever this is or isn't, like all it can do is just kind of like blow smoke up its own ass and like try to it's like trying to understand what it is, or it's trying to like, tell a story about what it is. But because it's so fluid, it's just like the never-ending story. It just morphs and morphs.
There upon a rainbow is the answer to a never-ending story.
Somewhere over the rainbow, yeah. And then I also know, Brian, that you're a builder. Like, you like to build things. You wanted to build like a round house, out on Schneblyville land. What for you is building? Like, you're very construction minded, like you're very good at building things, and you helped me like even like build something to put my dryer, up in my grain bin. And that was like a very practical thing that was super helpful to me. So I mean, talk about just like your construction or your building background.
Okay, so when I was young, 18, my cousin said, come join the Carpenters Union. I started as a carpenter when I was 16, non-union. And then when I turned 18, I joined the union. I was not a born carpenter. I had to learn all this. And when I retired, I still have the tools, and it turned more into an art form. Yeah, it definitely turned into an art form. And today, I just, I see that it's a perfect time for me to leave this for a while because I'm out of wood.
I mean, if you run out of wood, then
you run out of wood.
Then you run out of wood.
You run out of wood because they can't be here. So, yeah, I like to build stuff.
Wait, how come they're making you move again? Is that because like they're trying to sell these grain bins or what?
Yeah, they want to sell the grain bins, and I'm not the ideal renter. I'm loud, obnoxious, and I have a lot of saws going on and tails of wood, and it may not be the perfect scenery for when the realtor is driving through showing people the grain bins, and here's this guy all splayed out building all kinds of stuff, when for the atmosphere of sales, they'd be just like, stay in your bin, watch CNN or what's the other one, Fox News, and don't come out. No, I come out. I come outside.
And here at the grain bins, like, we have like well water, and there's a lot. What's that mineral that's like we have a lot of in our well water? It's like
sulfur.
We have a lot of sulfur in our well water. Like, you tried to put some out for the birds, and they weren't having it. They were like,
mosquitoes won't go in there, bees don't go in there. And it was at that point that I knew I had to have a Berkey filter because nothing's going in that water.
Well, I've been going up to Crestone and just filling up jugs like in the natural streams, and then I run it through my AquaTrue triple osmosis filter, add my own minerals and stuff. So I'm drinking water that's like pure, just coming straight from the mountain, straight from melted ice. And yeah, I feel like it has a really good energy to it. Yeah.
Well, the water just over, like, we're area 420, but just over an area 420 at Collins. I don't know. It's like well water. I don't know if it comes more from the Moffat well. It's like alkaline water. Like, it probably has some lithium in it, but it's like super good water, and it doesn't have any sulfur in it. So it's like weird that.
Yeah, there are these artesian wells, and they're probably doing a lot better.
Well, we're on top of, like, where we live, we're on top of an aquifer. Like, this whole valley used to be a lake, and there was like dinosaurs and shit like swimming in it. And then it went underground, and so this whole aquifer is like, we're on top of it. And there's all these debates about like, well, they're trying to sell our water to like other cities and stuff, like, let's protect our water. But I mean, that's one really cool aspect of living here, is that we have like, and that's why we have so many hot springs here too, is because they're just pumping that like hot water that's being heated by like the magma of the earth up into these hot springs.
Well, Ben Davidson did say like Pagosa Springs, and probably here, when stuff hits the fan with the end of the world scenario, this could turn into a lake again. Like the springs could rise up. The water table here is only like 7 or 8 feet. So,
And water world, we'll have like a water world sort of lifestyle.
so I mean, if you're off grid, you better put a boat next to your house or camper. You know.
I will say
rise
this:
up.
when the Sonship was out at the embodied consciousness, there's a pole sticking up there, and I felt like the ship was tied to the pole, and when I'd stand in the front, it looked like I was on the water because the valley's so flat. But this really feels like a ship.
And that's why they call you the Bathhouse Admiral, right? Is because you're making this like outfit that's like like it has the tassels on the shoulders and stuff, but it's a robe, like a bathhouse robe or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I self some people get a name, you know, sunflower or rainbow, but no, I need a title. So I'm an admiral of one ship. So anyway, we need more ships to be an admiral. And then when I met Cosmic Kyle and I took this most recent trip, I found that it's PA, Planetary Admiral.
Right. Well, you might already have multiple ships. You just don't even know it yet. Like there's certain ships that you're an admiral for, but that's yet to be revealed. I don't know. I mean, just
Yeah, I don't know.
But we do want to get you like more Sonships. Like you're looking for people that are interested in like investing in the Sonship idea. I don't know like what you have to say about just like investment too in general.
Well, it is a full-scale operational prototype that turned out really beautiful. And the little glitches that it has, raising the top is quite a chore. That, well, I'd like to see more ships for people so that they have power outside. I mean, this thing will power the bin right here. It'll power your saws and make a meal. And so it's very multifunctional. And I feel that solar power is going to be antiquated and old before you know it.
They're going to use like black hole energy or something
I don't
to like
know.
power. Yeah. Some kind of maybe free energy. Yeah.
But when I drive around the country and I see power lines and power lines and power lines, I really believe that that's going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. Building huge dams to move power across. And it loses power as it goes further and further. And they got transfer stations and a bunch of stuff I don't understand. But power is not as whoever's been at the helm of that power, they're really hanging on to it, and they don't want to let go of the old power structure because they get so much benefit from it monetarily, but the system on this planet can't support that much longer, so we're going to have to change up fast. In this region here, I call it economically challenged. And
quadruply depressed, I think they called it.
Yeah. And that's where more creative people, that's where a lot of creativity comes out of, from difficult financial areas.
You're forced to be creative when you don't have a lot of resources, to like, I don't know, like work with. You know, you have to work with what you have, and that actually can force creativity in a cool way. Yeah. Anything else, guys? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. Calvin, Brian.
Good luck editing this, and I look forward to hearing it.
Time
to
say goodbye. There upon a rainbow is
The shit
answer
is
to
bananas.
life.
Bananas. Shit is bananas. Bananas.
It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio. Hear them radio waves aglow.